right, so these are your notes for rotations, and we'll be looking at the second. So this is page day 5 that you'll need to be taking a look at here as we talk about rotations. And rotations pretty much are just nothing but a turn. So we are going to turn our object, just like you see right here, different amounts. So we can turn it in two different directions. We can turn them in either clockwise, which is this way right here, or we can go counter clockwise, which is this way, which is the opposite way the hands of a clock go. Okay, so you can see that as we do. So clockwise is going to be turning in that direction. Counterclockwise turns in the opposite direction. Okay, so that was what we had that we're going to do. So we're going to rotate these images, and basically we're going to be changing the place where they're at, but we're not going to change the size or the shape. So that's why they're congruent. The size and the shape will stay the same. So let's take a look at these and let's see how we can solve some of these problems. They're very easy. We're just going to see how we can describe the rotation that we see throughout what they give to us. All right. So let's take a look at our first one here. So it's asking us to rotate this point G, and it tells us to do 90 degrees, and we're going clockwise. So clockwise is going to be in that direction. All right. And so I got to think of, well, what does 90 degrees mean? All right. 90 degrees, if I think about it here, I'm going to think about it like a circle. A circle you see here is 360 degrees. And each one of these little parts are going through a different box. And so each one of these little boxes is worth 90. So to rotate this 90 degrees, I am going to take this point G and I would spin it or rotate it clockwise one quadrant, and it would end up in that quadrant there. Each one of these quadrants is worth 90 degrees. So one turn would be 90. 2 turns is 180. 3 turns is 270. 4 turns gets me back to 360. So I'm right here, and that's one turn, that's 90 degrees. Okay. I'm going to do this one here, 90 degrees counterclockwise. So instead of going clockwise, I'm going to go the opposite direction. In this case, I'm going to go the opposite direction. And this is 90 degrees, which means one turn. So counterclockwise would be going this way, and I'm going to end up in quadrant 2. Okay. So I'll turn, one turn counterclockwise, and there it is. Okay. Move on to the next ones here. It tells me again, well, I said, okay, I want to do 180 degrees. 180 degrees is 2 turns. So if I do 180 degrees, let's do clockwise. 180 degrees clockwise. 1, 2. So here's my first turn, my second turn. So I'm right there. But what if I go counterclockwise? I'd have 1, 2. So it takes me back to the same spot, 180. So 2 turns, 180, 2 turns, and there I am. I'm in quadrant 3 here. There's quadrant 2, quadrant 1, quadrant 4. If I do number 4, 90 degrees, that's one turn. going counterclockwise. So here's quadrant 1, 2, 3, 4. So I'm going counterclockwise against the hands of time. I'm going this way, so I'm going to end up from quadrant 2 to quadrant 3. That's a 90-degree turn. Okay. Number 5, 180 degrees. So that's 2 turns, and it doesn't matter which direction. So I can go this way and end up there. So that's 1 turn, 2 turns, and that's quadrant 4. Or I can go 1 turn, 2 turns, and end up in the same spot, quadrant 4. Last one here, 90 degrees. That's 1 turn. So 1 turn clockwise is going to go this way. So it's just jumping 1 box, basically. And I'm right here in this one, box 1. So it's 90 degrees, 1 turn, or 1 box, whatever you want to think about it. 2 turns, I'd be down here. 3 turns here. 4 turns, 360, I'd be back where I began. So 1 turn is just 1 box. 2 turns is 2 boxes. That's 180 degrees. So that's all I'm thinking of. All right. So now that we know how to turn these things, let's actually write a rule for these. So what I want to do is I want to take the original, which is this one here, the one that does not have the primes. This one's my original. It's just got the letters here. And I wanted to determine how I turn this to get here. So remember, I can go clockwise. So I can go clockwise, and that is just 1 turn. I started in this quadrant, and now I'm in this quadrant. So that's 1 turn. So that's 90 degrees. Well, what if I wanted to go in reverse? I could go 1 turn counterclockwise. I would have to go 2 turns counterclockwise and 3 turns counterclockwise, which would be 270. That's 3 turns. So those are my directions. Those are my rules. So I want to write the rules for doing clockwise turn and counterclockwise. Okay. Number 8. Here's my original. The one that just has the letters, doesn't have the little prime. And I want to determine how I move clockwise and counterclockwise. So I'm right here. Let's go clockwise. Clockwise is 1 turn. I'm in this quadrant. 2 turns because I'm in a new quadrant. 3 turns. So that's 270 degrees. That was 3 turns. If I go counterclockwise, which would be the other way, notice that I only have to do, so this is counterclockwise. Notice that I've only had to go from this quadrant to that quadrant, so that makes it 90. One turn. So clockwise, I did 1, 2, 3. So I went 1 quadrant, 2 quadrant, 3 quadrants, so that makes 3 turns, 270. Counterclockwise means I went from this one, this box, this quadrant, to this one. That's 1 turn, 90 degrees. Okay. Number 9. How did I move clockwise and counterclockwise? Same thing here with these. So this is my original. So I'm in quadrant 1, and it looks like I'm ending up here in quadrant 3. So that is a turn of 1, 2 quadrants. So 1, 2, 3. See that? So I went from 1, 2. So there it is, 2 turns. So that's 180. And so this also has to be 180, going the other way in quadrant 4, quadrant 3. Got this one here. This is in quadrant 3, and I end up in quadrant 1. So how can I get there? I can go counterclockwise. Now I'm in 4. So that's 1, 90 degrees. 2, 180. I can go clockwise. Takes me from 3 to 2. That's 1 turn. 2 to 1. That's another turn. So that's 2 turns, 180. So those are my 2 rules. Okay. Number 11, same thing. Here's my original. So this is quadrant 3. How did I go clockwise? So clockwise is going to go with the clock, so it's going to go this way. So I went from 3 to 2. So that's 1 quadrant jump. It's 1 turn, 90 degrees. Counterclockwise goes the opposite direction. So I went from 3 to 4, so that's 1. 4 to 1, that's 2. 1 to 2, that's 3. So counterclockwise took 3 turns. 1, 2, 3. 270-degree turn. Last one here. Start with my original. Let's go clockwise. So this is number 3, quadrant 3. If I go clockwise, let's just count the quadrants, which would be the turns. So clockwise would be in this direction. So from 3 to 2, it's 1, 2, 3. 3 jumps. 3 to 2, 2 to 1, 1 to 4. So that's 1, 2, 3 jumps, 270 degrees. Counterclockwise would just be the opposite way, which would go from 3 to 4, my counterclockwise, which would give me 90 degrees because it's just 1 turn. Okay? So there is that lesson there. So you're basically just telling me the rules or how it moves, where it's going to be. And remember, we never change the size or the shape of these objects. Okay? So your homework, what I would need for you to do here would be number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. You can skip 9, skip 10, skip 11, skip 12, 13, and 14. Okay, then you can take a picture and upload it or whatever needs to be done there as it goes. Okay, so read through these questions. Like the first one here, which one is true? Remember, true means we keep the same size and shape. We change, okay? So you're going to go through here. The lengths of the sides are doubled. Well, that means that the size got bigger. So you know it's not that one. You're going to read what it says. Which ones did not change size? Okay, read what it says. Number 14 here, you have this shape right here, and you want to rotate it 90 degrees clockwise. So that means you're going from 3 to 2. Which one would it look like? So that's number 14. So if you rotate this one 90 degrees, which one would it look like? It would look like A, B, C, or D. Right? Remember, you can skip 9, 10, 11, and 12. 7 and 8 and 3 through 8 are going to be the same way. All you need to do, just like we did on our thing, you're going to tell me the rules. You're going to tell me how did it move clockwise? How much did it move counterclockwise? So you see here, this one moved 2. So you'd say 180. And it would move 2 going that way. So it's 180. Then you just go to the next one. So here are your originals, the ones with the letters without the little prime. And you want to tell me, and you might want to make sure you label them. There's 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Those are the quadrants, and you can be able to tell, well, if I go clockwise or counterclockwise or clockwise, how many quadrants did I change? You count them up and tell me the degree measure. All right, you guys get at it. Best of luck.